Salutations, cadets. This is the third lecture in a series about recently discovered species who are not yet members of the Galactic Senate, but are expected to come into contact with you during your career. The topic of today's lesson is a species known as humans. They live on a typical planet that is circling a lone yellow star on the galactic periphery. We'll cover the fundamentals of their planet and the technological needs for their survival over the course of the following 3 hours. We shall discuss all that is known about them collectively. After 2 hours and 45 minutes, after going over the most important background material, let's look at a variety of human examples. Observe that their size is inconspicuous, resembling the median of species represented in the Senate. Humans have 2 upper limbs for manipulation and control, and 2 limbs for mobility, in contrast to most of the primate archetype animals in the Senate. Although some members of their species are able to pick objects up with their locomotive limb ends, this ability is not common among them and is sometimes dismissed as a stupid party trick. That idiom's meaning is still unknown to us, but it does indicate that people believe it typical to have 2 limbs used for locomotion and 2 for environment manipulation instead of 4 fully adaptable limbs. They lack tails. Without a tail, we're not sure how they maintain their balance while working in hazardous environments, but they appear to function quite fine without one. They lack claws and have flat, usually dull armor slabs at the end of their phalanges in place of claws. Their hearing is restricted, rendering many high frequencies utterly inaudible to them, and their vision is worse than that of most creatures that coexist with humans. For instance, they are merely unable to hear any noises produced by the Fremeling McKemp. They can appear to be ignoring you if you don't have a translation device, but it's possible that they are actually unable to hear the noises you are making. Given their size, they lack strength in particular. Considering their size, they are not very sturdy. They're not all that unique either, as their median intellect is only 2% higher than the median of all Senate races combined. In general, humans appear to be a passive and unthreatening potential member of the Senate, around average among us. However, there is one very crucial point that you all need to remember after watching this presentation. Your life itself is at stake. Bright coloring is either an attractor that screams, "Eat me," because being consumed is part of the subject's life cycle, or it is a dreadful warning that says, "Don't eat me, I am poisonous and will kill you." This is a universal reality among all the ecosystems we have seen. We have only ever seen both coexisting, sometimes even among the same species, on one planet. That world is Earth, where mankind originally originated. To the best of our knowledge, everything is part of their diet. I have personally witnessed them eat shellfish that had been removed from their waters and cooked till the bright red warning color was obvious. They have been observed eating berries bearing the scarlet death warning. They have a whole culinary genre that calls for the juices and mashed pulp of a fruit belonging to their deadly nightshade family. You did indeed hear that accurately. And that's how they refer to it. I've witnessed people using extremely acidic fruits to create a refreshing beverage. I've witnessed them mash acidic fruits into a glass for breakfast. When they have free time, the great majority of them voluntarily take in ethanol for recreation. I have even seen people set their beverages on fire before they had finished them, which should have prepared me for the fact that they also utilize capsaicin as a flavoring, but it did not. They go so far as to rate the strength of the capsaicin. The fumes from one of their peppers, which is the mildest of them, made me uneasy. 1 million or more people have rated some of their peppers, and these are consumed by humans. On their planet, there is a certain kind of fish that can quickly kill a person as well. And as a display of their wealth, they hire extremely skilled chefs who prepare that exact fish for the wealthy. So, I have to warn you, cadets, eat nothing that comes from the human world. Nothing. Don't. Please. It's likely that they added some extremely toxic flavoring to the mixture. They will tell you the ingredients if you ask them, but they might think some seasoning is so harmless that they forget to mention it, or that there is some remnant of it on their hands, kitchenware, or anywhere else. That could be a fatal error on your part. Simply said, don't. Offer them something from your planet and politely decline, explaining that you're not daring enough to try the dishes from their home world. I encourage you to look through the archives for examples of human food, since I know some of you won't believe me. Examine the content analysis. We even have recordings of people engaging in various food rituals, like as hot wings and the cinnamon challenge, so you can watch them eating a variety of foods. Additionally, they consume so much ethanol that it's nearly impossible to find any human media without it. You're fired. Gregor remained unmoved. He was well versed in maintaining his silence, having spent numerous periods in detention. He was aware that they would not be able to hold him accountable for the atrocities without a confession from him. Gregor refused to reveal the confession to them. Gregor's final words to the interrogator before the latter departed the interrogation room were, "There's nothing you can do to make me talk." The lead interrogator has a gift for stating the obvious and then saying, "We know he did it, but we can't prove it, so we need a confession from him," as though this is a useful approach to solve a problem. Have you exhausted all options? Indeed, everything. How long has it been since that dog ate? Inquired the nearby human, who was recently assigned to the station. With a turn of their heads, both interrogators faced the human. "Dog," one of them retorted. The person responded, "Indeed. He appears to be an evolved kind of canid, are I correct?" Dogs. "Yes, that's right, that he is." "I take it he's a great sniffer?" "Indeed. What relevance does that have?" "So when did he last have food?" "He is an hour overdue for another meal. He was last fed this morning." "Though why, we dare not deny the meal any longer." "Because I'm also hungry. I'm preparing my dinner right now. If you let me eat in there, I'm sure I could frighten him into speaking." "Young human, you don't seem to be understanding me. Are you saying that you can convince a hungry prisoner to talk only by feeding him in front of him?" "Yes, I certainly am. What could possibly go wrong?" The two interrogators turned to face the human after looking at each other. "Excellent. Proceed now." "Superb." After spending roughly 20 minutes away from the interrogators, the person reappeared with a tiny bag. He went into the interview space and took a seat at the desk. "Greetings, Greek. Could I address you as Grek?" "I would rather that is not my name." "Yes, Grek, whatever. See, I'm not from here. I have no knowledge about you and I have no desire to learn. I have no knowledge of this station or anything related to space law enforcement. See, I'm a soldier. Each and every one of us out here in space is a politician, a science geek, or a military. I assure you that I am not a science geek and that no one should be interested in politics." Gregor laughed almost uncontrollably at the remark about politicians, but a small anxiety nudged at the back of his mind. Deep in his history, he recalled something about people, a warning story about them. Maybe something about the meals they serve? He was having trouble recalling the details from the far corners of his past. "As a soldier, I'm not very good at this law enforcement nonsense, but since they offered me this position as part of the exchange program, I accepted it. You see?" Gregor acknowledged this and gave a nod of approval. "Fantastic. Most likely you're asking why I was brought in." "I am. Well, it's because I desired to enter." Gregor fixed his gaze on the person. "That guy looks a lot like a soldier, and I noticed that you have all of their feathers ruffled. Perhaps I can get along with him. Not likely. I am aware of my circumstances. I am aware of my rights. Indeed, they anticipated your saying that. You have a lovely table right here, and it's time for supper, which is another reason I wanted to come in. Would you mind if I had some food?" Gregor's eyes widened slightly at this, but he quickly composed himself and maintained his expression of indifference. "Go ahead. Have you also brought me any food? My food has been denied to me for longer than is reasonable. Yes, please, if you would like some. What have you brought with you? Well, to kick things off, I've got a few cold brewskis. Gregcor's eyes again widened briefly in shock as the human placed one can in the table and condensation beaded all over it. Was there anything that the human would eat that would be chilly enough to absorb moisture from the air? Gregcor's gaze moved to the other can, which he was holding, and he tore a hole in its top with his fingers. The guy held the can up to his mouth and started to sip, sending a foul smell of ethanol throughout the room. He gulped down the contents of the can in one long gulp, and then set the empty can down in front of Gregor, the smell of the ethanol fumes drowning out all other aromas. A cold brewski is the perfect way to unwind after a long day. I'll start with one of my favorite recipes: wings. The person took out a heating box and opened the cover to show a stack of objects. These are some wings made of chicken. From my own world, a chicken is a small domesticated bird. Although they don't contain much flesh, their wings are nevertheless quite tasty. Desire one? Gregor smelt them but could smell nothing wrong, so he reluctantly took one from the open container and plucked the meat off while the human also took a bite off of it. Yeah, it's tasty. However, they're not finished yet. These wings here are flavorless, and the person removed a sealed bowl, setting it down on the surface. This is my unique sauce. For these wings to be thoroughly coated, they must be dipped into the sauce and shaken. They are then prepared for eating. The human emptied the wings into the bowl after opening it. Gregor felt as though his face had been set on fire from the inside out as the poisonous fumes shot out of the bowl and pushed their way into his nostrils, causing him to recoil in terror. His eyes were overflowing with tears, which soaked the hair on both sides of his nose. Gregor cried out, "What is the meaning of this attack?" "Whoa, that Greg, this is not an assault. I'm merely finishing up dinner," the person said, shaking the bowl quietly. "You're lying!" Again, Gregor hissed. "That is a weapon, not a food product. A prohibited weapon." "Sorry, buddy, but this is my dinner." "Nope." The person took off the bowl's lid, letting forth a plume of smoke. Gregor got up and fled to the farthest corner of the room, sending his chair flying across the floor. The guy picked up a wing from the bowl and ate it with composure, and then one after the other. "This is not feasible," growled Gregor. "Sorry, buddy. Nope. Very likely. And delectable. Are you certain you don't want to try one that has been completed? Since I'm not even a fan of spicy food, these wings are only mildly flavored." Before finishing the wings, the person tore open the top of the second beer can and took a sip. "Hey dude, here's the last one. As yours, if you so desire." "I refuse to be poisoned by you." "Okay, buddy. Dress comfortably." The human consumed the last of the beer and wing. "Talk to me about anything, like why you're here?" "No." "All right. Just so you know, though, they threatened to stop talking to me if I didn't cook for you." "That is excruciating." "No, sorry. I'm not going to poison you. I refuse to squander my ingredients on thee. However, this sauce can occasionally be sticky. It seeps into the creases of palms and contaminates the kitchen's air. But you're a tough guy. I'm sure you can handle that. I'm going to make your dinner now, though." The person departed. Gregor stood in the corner, staring at his situation with watery eyes. "I'll speak," he yelled. "Interrogator, enter this area. I'll speak. Just don't let a human cook me dinner.